Wow, looks like you guys like my Cars videos. I wonder what I can do to capitalize on the success of them. Cars Toons is a television series of American computer animated short films produced by Pixar, according to Wikipedia. It has 2 seasons. Season 1 is Mater's Tall Tales and is 11 episodes long, and Season 2 is Tales from Radiator Springs and is 4 episodes long. I, an adult, am going to sit down, watch all of them, and rate them out of 10 to see if there's at least something good in here. I mean, come on, it can't be worse than Cars 2, right? Please say right. Also, while I'm at it, I'm gonna throw Mater and the Ghostlight in there too, because nothing says garbage like released as a special feature on the DVD of Pixar's film Cars. And no, I'm not reviewing the Cars Pixar popcorn shorts, literally nothing happened in them.
It's the Ghostlight!
I'ma be honest, I wasn't expecting the first one I watched to be this amusing. The basic premise of this short is that Sheriff tells a story about a ghost light, and it freaks Mater out so much that he starts twerking. Later, when they all go to bed, McQueen decides to pull a prank on Mater, making him believe that the Ghostlight is real. I'm sorry, I get this is supposed to be payback for when Mater scared McQueen earlier, but holy crap, look at him, he looks traumatized. McQueen doesn't give a crap, he's just laughing. Mater is traumatized and you're laughing. The comedy is so sporadic and well executed for a short that's only 6 minutes long. Like, everything is taken way too seriously, and that helps make this short with a basic plot a lot more enjoyable to watch.
It ain't real.
It is real!
Overall, this is exactly what I want from these kind of shorts. It's dumb, it's funny, it's basic, 9 out of 10. I'm gonna assume this is what sleep paralysis demons look like in the Cars universe. And now we begin our long endeavor into the Mater's Tall Tales shorts. Buckle up, because this is going to get really exhausting. This episode is a retelling of when Mater used to be a fire truck. McQueen realistically doesn't believe him, and that's when Mater says,
You remember, for Pete's sake, you was there too.
Upon first watch, this was pretty funny to me because it has such a fast-paced and chaotic vibe to it. I mean, later on in the episode, we even find out that Mater is also a doctor. And yes, this is Mater wearing a mask in the year 2008. I'm surprised this wasn't shared all over the internet over the past year. The episode ends with confirmation that everything that happened in this episode actually did happen, which leaves you with even more questions about the Cars timeline and even the Pixar theory. But I'm not getting into that because that sounds like a mentally draining task. Now, on its own, this short isn't that bad. I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. But what you gotta understand is that all 11 episodes follow this formula. Mater claims that he used to do this crazy thing, McQueen doesn't believe him, and then Mater is like, you were there too, and then McQueen is thrown into the second half of the story. And at the very end, one of the characters from Mater's insane story passes by them, confirming that this is all 100% canon to the Cars universe. But now that I've watched all 11 of them, yeah, this one still isn't that bad. 6 out of 10. In this episode, Mater is a daredevil car. It starts with him jumping over a long line of cars, which of course makes me question the ethics of this stunt. Like in a real daredevil stunt, if they mess up, they're only hurting themselves. But if Mater misses this jump, he's murdering multiple cars in the process. Oh wait, he just drives over them. Yeah, this one isn't nearly as funny as the last one. The only funny part of this episode is when Mater says,
I busted nearly every part in my body.
By the end of this episode, I already felt like this formula had been overused. I was expecting what was going to happen because it all happened in the last episode, and nothing about this one was interesting or funny enough for me to care. 4 out of 10. What the heck did I just watch? This is just the same formula, but this time Mater is a bullfighter. This short is only 3 minutes long, and I feel like I wasted an entire lifetime. 1 out of 10. So you'd expect that since this episode only exists to show off what Pixar had finished with Cars 2 at the time, that I wouldn't like this episode. But surprisingly enough, I hate this episode. It starts out with Mater giving this car a tow all the way to Japan. Yeah, Mater went from Arizona to Tokyo. Whatever, this is made for babies. There's no need to question the logistics of this. Then Mater gets in trouble with this dude and they decide to have a drift race. Okay, look, I've played enough Mario Kart in my life to know that that's not how drifting works. The way Mater is doing it makes much more sense, honestly, because he's like messing up and stuff. And oh my god, is that Mike and Sully? So then McQueen gets thrown into the story and his voice is different.
I'll take care of this. Right! Dragon style!
Long story short, they beat this dude at the race and he is forever shamed by his peers. I guess this was an exciting episode, but it was probably the most disgustingly garbage rendition of this formula yet. 2 out of 10. In this episode, Mater meets a UFO that resembles himself. When I was watching this episode, I wrote down in my notes, I think Mater is on drugs, and sure enough, Fillmore is there to confirm it. Sarge kidnaps the UFO, and then Mater, being the skilled ninja that he is, single-handedly infiltrates Area 51 with little to no effort. I'm not making this up, this episode is basically Mater on a drug trip. Mater is somehow able to trick everyone at Area 51 with this disguise, which is how he breaks out the UFO. By far, this is the best episode yet. Maybe because he's doing something that Cars wouldn't normally do, or maybe it's just because it's got some pretty good comedy and just feels like Mater on a drug trip. 7 out of 10, best use of the formula yet. In this episode, Mater is a monster truck and he wrestles Cars. That's the episode. It's pretty boring. It works better than ones like El Matador, but it's probably the most boring one yet. 3 out of 10. I love this episode so much. It's easily the best Mater's Tall Tales episode, no contest. Because in this episode, Mater is a part of a garage band. Yo, Eminem's been pretty quiet since this drop. Mater and the Gas Caps get some regional attention, which sparks them to write a record. While recording the record, the drummer accidentally turns Mater and the Gas Caps into a heavy metal band. Obviously, after spitting straight fire like that, they get signed to a record label and change their band name to Heavy Metal Mater after this interaction.
A new name.
Delivery! Where do you want this heavy metal, Mater?
That's it.
They then go on to sell out arenas worldwide, with McQueen being a feature. My takeaway from this episode is that I am furious that Dadgum is not available on iTunes or Spotify. This episode seemingly confirms that the thing Mater is doing has to be something that Cars wouldn't normally do for it to be funny. It's much more weird and chaotic to see Mater playing heavy metal or invading Area 51 than it is to see him being a monster truck or a fire truck. As music episodes go, this probably could have been better. There's definitely much more hilarious and obscure music TV show episodes than this one, but this was just a delight to watch. 8 out of 10. In this episode, Mater goes to the moon to help save an astronaut. I take back everything I just said about how Mater needs to be doing something unique to Cars because this episode was pretty boring. Also, I probably don't want to know the answer to this question, but how do Cars breathe? It doesn't look like they have a nose, so most likely it'd be through their mouth, but if that's the case, Mater would be dead because this helmet is not saving him. Another car that should have died in this episode is McQueen. I think it's self-explanatory that water is not going to save you at that speed. I've watched enough of these episodes to realize that just like Phineas and Ferb, for these episodes to be good, they either have to be really, really funny or make fun of the formula. None of these episodes make fun of the formula, so they just have to be really funny. And this episode ain't funny.
When does an astronaut eat?
At launch time.
5 out of 10.
Wait, you mean secret agents? You guys are spies.
Of the 2 episodes that foreshadow the events of Cars 2, this one is definitely the best. Right off the bat, Mater is doing 2 accents at once.
I was working downtown, mostly small jobs, but this time I was on to something real big.
I'm guessing this is because they wanted it to seem old-timey, but also keep Mater's accent. I still don't know how to feel about this.
What are you doing here, Tia?
I missed you.
Like you missed your last smog check.
What? Wait, aren't smog checks in the Cars universe the equivalent of going to the doctors? And if you aren't healthy, you're legally not allowed to move? So Mater has to find this one car who got car-napped, as well as figure out this mystery about counterfeit tires, so he goes looking for clues.
They all have this smell.
Smell.
They smell salty.
Salty.
Like the ocean.
Ocean?
I haven't smelled that since I worked down at the docks.
Rocks?
Docks.
Ducks.
Docks.
The docks. Thanks, Stinky.
Wow, that was quick. He finds the bad guys and whoa, plot twist, Tia from the beginning was working with them all along. But that doesn't stop McQueen Ex Machina from saving the day and finding out that these cars are also responsible for the counterfeit tires. I think what makes this episode work the most is that, yeah, it's got some killer jokes.
What? I'll be in Shanghai.
But it's also a decent spoof on spy movies that isn't a complete waste of 2 hours. You can really tell which of these episodes they felt inspired to do and which ones were just filler. 7 out of 10.
You've run out of airspace, crop hopper.
Hey look, it's another boring episode that only exists as promotion for a future product, and oh my god, tobacco? Where? No, seriously, where? I watched the entire episode 3 times, which mind you, is 3 times too many, and I did not see any tobacco. You know what, I was gonna give this one a 6 out of 10 because it's pretty boring except for this one line.
It's a masterpiece!
More like a mater piece.
But since the disclaimer at the beginning forced me to sit through this 3 times, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
Wow, it took 10 whole freaking episodes of this overused formula for the writers to finally switch it up. Well hey, at least the next few episodes will be good. This is the last episode of Mater's Tall Tales. Are you kidding me? One day, Mater discovers time travel and goes back to before Radiator Springs became a town. He meets Stanley, who, if you're unfortunate enough to have studied the Cars universe lore as much as I have, you may recognize as the town founder. And whoops, Mater accidentally prevents Stanley from ever founding the town, and now Radiator Springs is gone. But it's okay, because Mater just time travels to when Mater is telling the story to McQueen, takes McQueen and saves the town, because that's possible, right? Actually, no it's not. If Mater just created a new timeline where Radiator Springs doesn't exist, there is no possible way for Mater to time travel to the other timeline when he is talking to McQueen in the town, because the town and Mater and McQueen's friendship do not exist anymore. It kinda shocks me how bad of a mess up this is. I mean, you would assume that going through numerous different people during development that someone would be like, hold up, that's not how time travel works. Or maybe they did and they just didn't care, because remember, these shorts aren't made for the big screen, they don't matter. Anyways, they save the town, get Lizzie and Stanley married, and then Mater cries like a baby. It's kind of sad that the last episode was the one to break the formula that held the series hostage, but at least this episode wasn't that bad if you can look over the blatant time travel flaw. 6 out of 10. Alright, we have finished going through Mater's Tall Tales, but we're not done yet. Season 2 of Cars Toons is called Tales from Radiator Springs. If it's anything like Mater's Tall Tales, I'm expecting chaos. Let's see. Before watching this episode, I had not seen 2 cars kiss, and now I have. No thank you. I think it's kind of funny that the credits are half the runtime of this episode. 3 out of 10.
You're lower than dirt. You're an...
The entirety of this 1-minute short is Red trying to get this annoying bug off of his face. The bug sympathy in this episode is really forced, and A Bug's Life did it way better. If there's one thing that surprised me about this episode, it's that it's kind of amazing that this 1-minute short made me feel bored. 2 out of 10. In this episode, Luigi spins a sign. You know, this season is really making me miss Mater's Tall Tales, which is something I never thought I would say. If you want good Pixar sign spinning, just watch Soul. 3 out of 10. Here we are, the final Cars short. Somehow I've managed to watch them all. Okay, let's get this over with. Unfortunately for me, this episode doesn't follow the precedent set by the last 3 episodes, and instead of clocking in at a runtime of 1 minute and 30 seconds, it's 6 whole minutes long. So McQueen dressed up as Stanley. I'm so tired at this point, this doesn't even faze me. So while Radiator Springs is celebrating the birthday of its founder, some big shot cars decide to crash the party and challenge McQueen to a race, but of course not before roasting McQueen into his grave.
That's Stanley? He looks more dumber than you!
Mater gives them a rundown of where they're going on the race, but whoopsies, these dummy cars accidentally take a wrong turn, which leads them to almost dying multiple times. But there's something that happens later on in this episode that I think is a little bit disturbing for a kid's short. After Mater somehow predicts Frozen 2,
The Enchanted Forest.
McQueen and the racer stumble upon multiple abandoned cars. Now, this may not seem like a big deal, but you gotta remember that in the Cars universe, this is the equivalent of finding a family of dead bodies. They return to Radiator Springs and the episode ends. I guess this episode wasn't that bad, and maybe I would like this one a little more if it came earlier since it had some decent jokes.
Stanley, what was it like going over these hills back in 1909?
Well, it had its ups and downs.
But I'm so tired. I didn't think it would be this fatiguing to go through 15 car shorts, but boy was I wrong. 7 out of 10, I suppose. Here's what all the episodes look like ranked from worst to best. I'm taking a nap now. In conclusion, are any of these episodes worth watching? Heavy Metal Mater and Mater and the Ghostlight are probably the funniest, so I suppose you can watch those if you want. Would I recommend watching all 15 episodes back to back? It only takes a solid hour to go through every episode in one sitting, but I cannot describe to you how draining it is to watch that much chaos at one time. I can bear a feature-length film of Cars because it isn't always chaotic since they're aware that the film needs to have proper pacing, which now that I'm thinking about it might be another reason why Cars 2 is terrible. There's just so much to take in such a short amount of time, and I'm glad it's over. I guess the natural progression from this video is to eventually make a video about the Planes movies, but I need a break from this franchise. But until then, you should subscribe to my channel. I'm sure you'll find something you like. And unless Mater screws up the timeline again, I'll see ya in Radiator Springs.